Good morning, it's Tammy with FightForYouCoaching.com, and today I'm going to talk to you about what it takes to be a nurse. To start out my new series, it's a nursing thing. I can remember when I decided I wanted to be a nurse. I had been a cosmetologist for a really long time. I had stood behind the chair and cut hair, and I had also taught school. And I just decided that I was ready for a change. So I started out as a CNA at the nursing home. And as I discussed yesterday, kind of took my steps, to further myself to an RN. But I did learn that being a nurse requires you to wear and change many hats throughout the day, even throughout an hour. We have to adjust to our patients. We don't judge them by their beliefs or what they want. We have to accommodate to them. When I did make that decision to become a nurse, I had no idea what it involved to do that. I just assumed like it was like anything else going to a regular college, but it does require just a little bit more than that. I remember taking 2 years of what we call prereqs to become a nurse, and taking anatomy and physiology. That class still haunts me. Absolutely necessary, but still haunts me. Then when you get done learning all your classroom stuff and everything, then the fun begins. Then you go to the hospital and you do what we call clinicals. And let me tell you, that is probably one of the scariest things that I ever did when I first started to become a nurse was nursing clinicals. Because here you go, you're a nurse who, had went through all this schooling, but you're terrified to death that you're going to do something wrong. I was very fortunate, and I always had a positive experience with my clinicals, and I had really great senior nurses that worked with me and were very patient. But sometimes that's not always the case. And if you're a nurse out there and you're working with student nurses, be kind to them. Remember that you were there once and how scary it was for you, and that they're just learning. So really be kind to them. I can remember taking care of patients, and if you're a patient out there and they ask you before a student nurse is allowed to take care of you, give them that opportunity to do that, because I promise you it is probably one of the times in your life that you will be taken care of the best. Because as a student nurse, we really pay close attention. We want everything to be perfect for you because we're still in that learning process. So we make sure that we're doing everything exactly the way that it's supposed to be. So then we go to clinicals, and we have, after we're done with clinicals, we have these things called care plans. They are the worst things in the entire world. Again, necessary, but horrible, horrible things. Go ahead and Google them. We spend hours and hours, and I'm not exaggerating when I say I could spend anywhere from 2 to 3 days on one care plan, and that was a solid 2 to 3 days. Learning the disease processes, learning the medications, what's involved in planning out a patient's care, what we're going to do with them, what we're going to do to follow up with them. And then after all of that, we get to learn medications. And you learned all the medications, you learned all their side effects, you learned everything they did, and then 100 new ones come out, so you get to learn all over again. Nursing school is tough, and being a nurse can be tough, but the joy and the satisfaction that you get from being a nurse outweighs anything that you ever went through to get there, and some days what you go through to be a nurse. I remember my very first day as an LPN. I will never forget it. Prior to me becoming an RN, I remember walking into the facility and just the different feeling that you had. I was excited, scared to death, absolutely scared to death. What if I wasn't able to take care of my patients? What if I made a mistake or anything? But I remember feeling that I knew that I had made the right choice, and that this was something that I was going to do for the rest of my life. The satisfaction that we get from taking care of patients and being able there to, whether it's holding a patient's hand or a family's hand, as a patient is moving on, or whether it's being there when you give birth to your child. We're fortunate as nurses that we get to experience that all with you. Some of it's really sad when you sit there and you're losing a parent or a loved one, we're sitting there whether or not we're crying with you. If it's me, I'm usually sitting there crying with you. Or whether we cry later. We celebrate all the joys, and we also take in all the sadnesses with us as well. Don't get me wrong, being a nurse is not always a bed of roses. Sometimes there's more drama than a room full of 16 girls. But it does take a special kind of person to be a nurse. It's not for everyone. You have to have some compassion, strength, understanding, patience, and sometimes a lot of patience. And you have to have strength. I think my two biggest words in nursing are strength and compassion. I really feel those two are absolutely needed to be a nurse. When you are a nurse, you'll find strength when you didn't think you had any left. And your compassion for others will come through when you didn't think it existed. Being a nurse is absolutely one of the best things in the world. If you've ever thought that that's what you wanted to do, I encourage you, take that leap. We could always use nurses. There's so much joy and satisfaction in it. Becoming a nurse and being a nurse are worth everything and every moment that I ever did. So I'm excited to continue this journey with you guys and share with you so many different things that I've experienced, and continue to teach you what it takes to be a nurse, because it is a nurse thing. Thanks, guys, and have a great Saturday.